So, what if I told you that your company could unlock over $100,000 in cost savings this year through a few multiple simple waste reduction strategies? Would you be interested? Hey, y'all, I'm Stacy Savage, aka the Texas Trash Talker, your zero waste expert and recycling nerd for 20 years. So here's the reality, right? So there's a mountain of cash in your trash. Um, it's in your recycling bins, it's in your food waste bins. It's just waiting to be uncovered through smarter waste management practices and tools. So, y'all, I am not exaggerating when I say that just implementing basic zero waste policies at your company can garner hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings through reduced purchasing and waste disposal costs alone. Um, and this is not even factoring in many other financial benefits like higher efficiency and new revenue streams. So, in today's video, we're going to walk through 5 high impact ways that you can start tapping into these incredible cost benefits starting right now. So, there's really no complex overhauls that are going to be needed. It's something that you can do starting immediately. So, here's a quick preview, right, of what's ahead. So, renegotiating your waste hauling contracts, conducting waste audits, employee engagement processes and programs, and then on-site composting. And the last thing that we would address is finding reuse opportunities. So the steps for building a zero waste program doesn't have to break the bank, y'all. Even starting small can produce real financial results very quickly. So if you're ready to unlock some of these massive savings hiding in your trash bins, then let's get started. So number one, reducing waste has become a really top priority for many organizations today. And for very good reason. There's a massive cost savings to be unlocked by minimizing the waste your company produces, from reduced purchasing and disposal costs to building out new revenue streams and financial incentives of zero waste. They're just too big to ignore in today's competitive business landscape. So, according to a 2021 report by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, businesses save an average of $115 per ton of waste materials that are diverted from landfills and incinerations through recycling and composting programs. The cost savings come from avoiding purchasing and waste disposal fees. So this report also analyzed waste diversion programs across commercial, hospitality, healthcare, educational, and retail industries. And it also highlighted revenue opportunities from like repurposed materials, for example, composting that's produced on site that could be either sold as a business revenue stream or as a replacement for commercial fertilizers. Even recycled materials that can be sold to scrap buyers, regenerating additional income. So those are just a couple of direct cost savings. Whenever you factor in many of the indirect benefits, such as improved brand reputation, increased efficiency, employee empowerment, and green marketing strategies, zero waste really quickly becomes a no-brainer cost-saving strategy. So during our time today, I want to walk through the 5 specific ways that you can start capturing these cost benefits for your own organization. If you're really wanting to unlock major cost savings and benefits through zero waste, I want to hear from you. After watching this video, I want you to book a quick, if it feels right for you, book a quick call with me to explore how my online Zero Waste Business Academy can help you capture these wins for your own organization. My program is specifically designed for those who lead as corporate executives, C-suite directors, business owners and managers, commercial property owners and managers, and even food permitted businesses. So let's dive into those 5 high impact strategies for reducing waste and building revenue. So step 1 is renegotiating your waste and recycling collection contracts. So a key starting point here is getting a handle on how much you're actually currently paying for waste management services. Many companies are overpaying for frequent garbage collection, or they're underutilizing recycling services. So simply optimizing pickup schedules and bin sizes. Maybe you'll reduce those bin sizes. Maybe there's some bins that you don't even need on your property, but you're still being charged for. This can lead to significant savings annually. Think about the amount of equipment that you already have on site, and do you actually need that much equipment, or was it what the hauler told you you would need because of anticipated waste production on site? So step 2 is conducting waste audits. This is when we really get into the nitty gritty, y'all. This is where you can gain insights into what type of materials are actually being thrown away at your property. And you can kind of track what is the highest rates of material. So is it paper? Is it cardboard? Is it glass? Is it, depending on your industry, is it food waste? Is it tires? We don't even know unless you track it, right? So doing a waste audit and getting up to your elbows for a couple of hours to sort a day's worth of trash generated on site, and your recycling and your food waste. It really helps you identify the biggest waste streams to target for reduction. So you can start with your largest percentages and work on a reduction strategy on, say, like the top 3, the biggest waste streams. And then common high volume wastes are paper, for most organizations, paper, organics, and even packaging materials like that cardboard, right? So once you've got a waste audit done, and once you have tracked your dumpster fill levels, maybe once or twice per week for like a month, then you can start to see a pattern that arises, is that maybe your hauler is coming to your property, they're dumping the dumpsters, but your dumpsters aren't full, they're not being optimized, right? So your haulers are getting paid through your service contract to cart air off your property. If you're only at 50% or 75%, heck, even 20%, you're getting robbed, man. It's really important to make sure that all of your contracts are optimized for that fullness whenever the hauler comes to actually pull your dumpster and to dump it into your into their trash hauling truck, or their recycling hauling truck, or even their food waste composting truck, so that they can cart all that back to their facility, and they can process all those materials properly on your behalf as a client, right? But you don't want them to come out whenever you've only got 50% materials in your dumpster. So it's really a kind of, like we said earlier, a no-brainer, right? To track your waste fill levels in your dumpster, to take a look at your hauler contract to see if you would even need that amount of dumpsters. The more that you reduce the amount of equipment on your site, the more that you reduce the size of the equipment. Do you have 10 cubic yard? Do you have 8 cubic yard? Do you have 6 cubic yard dumpsters? You got to know, and this is all going to be within your contract. Or you can call your representative at the hauling company, right? You just have to know, how big are my dumpsters? How many dumpsters do I have? Are they full whenever the hauler actually comes to pick them up? And what are the highest percentage of materials that we're producing? Is it composting, food waste from the cafeteria that our employees eat at? Or is it cardboard, because we get so much packaging and so much deliveries to our store? So there's a couple of things to look at as far as where the waste reduction can happen, so that you can reduce your costs as well through renegotiating your hauler contract. Another strategy is establishing employee engagement programs. So your people are the key to successful waste reduction within your company, period. They are your cheerleaders. If you don't have buy-in, if you don't have the engagement, your programs aren't going to work, because they're just going to be apathetic to participating, right? So providing training and educational resources, incentives is huge to get your staff on board. Simple strategies like centralizing your printers, making sure your printers are defaulted to a duplex setting, right, front and back, going paperless, just making sure everything's digital and up in the cloud, providing labeled bins and signage to make sure that people know exactly what materials can and cannot be allowed in each of these trash or recycling bins. It really helps it make it easy for employees to participate day to day, and it becomes part of their habits, right? So that's really what we're looking for, is habit change within our individual operations at work. And make sure that we have confident decision making at the bin system. So if I need to put my materials in a bin, I better have signage. I probably need some color coding. I need something that's going to tell me, okay, I've got this material in my hand. Where does it go? If it's not listed, then I'm probably going to make a mistake, right? If I'm not trained properly. So I'm probably going to cross-contaminate, put my recycling in the trash and my trash in the recycling, and we're going to get a cross-contamination issue that typically causes fees to be assessed to the business from the hauler. So if they have to go through and sort all your materials when it should have been sorted properly already at your place of business, then they're gonna charge you. They're gonna send you a fee, and you'll see it in the bill. So one thing to really take note of is how engaged your employees are regarding your recycling and food waste composting diversion. Remember, for every ton that you can divert from the landfill trash or an incinerator program, you can save on average $115. So think about that in more economic and financial terms. So not only is there cost savings there, but you can avoid costs by making sure that people are recycling correctly, properly, and that you're not getting assessed any fees from your hauler because of that cross-contamination issue. Another strategy is to install on-site composting if it's feasible. So what this would look like is if you've got a cafeteria for your employees, or and think about back of the house food prep. So if you're a larger company and you've got 3,000 employees and the majority eat at the cafeteria, well, then you've got cooks in the back who are prepping the food. It's important that they have access to food waste composting, as well as the people who are your office staff, who are kind of the public facing. They need to be able to get rid of their food scraps from after they eat. Any leftovers need to be scraped off the plate or whatnot into the food waste composting system, not recycling and not trash. So it's important to have a composting system where an industrial facility can haul that off of the property for you, because the industrial facility will most likely be able to take things like meat, bone, and dairy. A lot of composting programs that are not industrial, and I mean like the big daddies, right? Like the big plants that can take these materials off of your property and process them for you, they just don't get hot enough to break down things like meat, bone, and dairy. But if you have an industrial composter, they can take those materials, and that's even more waste that you can divert from landfills, and put that compost to use in the community, right? So if you've got a composting system or a composting hauler or processor in your area, and you've got a food permit where you've got food being generated on site, I would talk to them, because again, the more you're diverting from your landfill trash, the smaller you can come down on your landfill trash dumpsters, the size, the number, the frequency of pickup. All of that is cost savings over here that you can then funnel over into your recycling and your food waste composting systems. So it's really not about, the materials being produced on site. It's really about how we're source separating them properly and having the systems in place to give people those options, right? It's really not very fair to expect your employees to recycle and get rid of their food waste properly if they're not trained, if they don't have buy-in, and if the programs just aren't available. So it's important to check your area, your regional area, see if there's a hauler in your area who can bring you the bins so that you can place them out, and then you can train your staff. And a lot of times, there's just a shocking amount of food waste that is produced. About 40% of the US waste stream is actual food waste. So let's think about that in terms of the back of the house where the food is being prepped before it goes out on the serving line. And then after the employees get their food from the serving line and they've got those leftovers. So think about 40% of your trash bill immediately coming down because you're doing waste diversion and you're not putting it in the landfill trash, or you're not allowing that to go into landfill trash because you now have these new programs set up and your staff is properly trained. So the offsets of these the offsets of the cost savings go straight into your education programs and your new waste diversion programs. So on-site composting can also really skip the collections process. If you have an area where you can do on-site composting in big tumblers, then you would be able to skip the hauling fees, skip the whole process of having a hauler come in and take that food waste off your site. But I would warn against, if you have on-site composting, unless your bins, unless your windrows really get hot enough, you're not going to be able to take anything like meat, bone, and dairy. I wouldn't suggest it. So you could stick to coffee grounds and your vegetable peels, your fruit peels, eggshells, things like that. But if you're doing on-site, I wouldn't recommend meat, bone, or dairy. But if you do have a hauler that can take these materials off your site, and they do have an industrial facility, then I would ask them if meat, bone, and dairy is accepted, and make sure that you train your staff to divert those types of materials as well. So if you do on-site composting, this could also save you money because it could substitute your fertilizers as well. So think about think about the greens on golf courses, and think about the trees that line your business property, right? It's important to reduce fertilizers and to increase the soil, the nutrition in the soil as well. So you can do that through applying a compost material that is after those fruits and vegetables and the peels and everything broke down into a soil-like material that we call compost. So composting turns into compost, a material that you can then line your trees and your shrubbery and that kind of thing for beautification, but also your ability to reduce purchasing of fertilizers and application of fertilizers on your property. You really don't want that runoff happening whenever it rains or whenever your sprinklers go off. So that's another great kind of substitution there that can save money. And step 5 is finding reuse opportunities. So this is where you can really get creative about how you might repurpose waste within your own operation. For example, shipping packaging is a really big one. This can be reused for outgoing orders. Scrap materials may be suitable for other departments. You can just identify ways to give waste a second life. So in my business, waste is not considered waste. These are highly valuable materials that can be reused over and over and over again. They have different, they have extended life cycles, if you will, so that they're not going to the trash immediately. We're finding ways to reuse all of these materials. So the great news is that each of these steps is highly doable without a massive effort or expense. And, I'm here to advise your company on the best ways to implement these strategies for maximum payoff. And, definitely reach out to me at any time, and make sure that if you're interested in our Zero Waste Business Academy, we have an online training program for business owners, managers, property owners and managers, food permitted businesses that can take you kind of step by step through the whole process, and will allow you to understand within your own business structure where we can target the waste reduction, so that we can see the revenue increases, so we can see the cost savings. And yes, $100,000 is not out of this world, right? Not going after these strategies is what is unconscionable. Really, it's something that we can do on a very localized level to increase your savings and increase your business reputation. We can use this as, green marketing strategies, use it to empower your employees, give them, that really good feeling, boost their morale, and help them understand that they play a huge part in waste aversion, and really helping your investors and your shareholders see that your company is taking these strides to go in this zero waste manner, so that costs are being managed, that you're coming under budget, right? Who doesn't want to come under budget and be the department hero? So if you're interested in chatting with me regarding your business structure, where we can find some additional revenue streams or waste reduction strategies for cost savings, then definitely reach out to me and let me know, so that we can book a quick call, make sure that our services would be a good fit, a good match for your company's needs. And then if you're wanting to get the PDF of this particular recording, not the recording, but the talking points that I go through on this recording, just let me know. Reach out to me, drop raise your hand in the comments so that I can send it on over to you. But this is a free PDF of all the talking points. Maybe you've got a CEO that you need to convince that you should go this route. I've got several free PDFs that you can use as leverage in order to do the convincing for you. So if you need a little bit of assistance, some strategies to convince the higher ups that need to kind of hear this, hear these cost saving strategies, then I am more than willing to help you out on that, so that you can walk away with that yes that you need from the executive or the C-suite or whoever you need to pitch this to. But the more companies that we can get more efficient and optimizing their material stream and being more responsible, then the more we can reduce waste, the more that we can protect the planet, the more that we can reduce the climate impacts that so many communities around the world are experiencing right now. So it's all incumbent upon us to make sure that we as global citizens are being responsible. And we have to remember that the people run these companies. It's people who are the decision makers.
If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you want to connect, let's book a call. Let's talk about your waste issues right now. Maybe you've got a bunch of headaches that you want to go over. We could definitely do that. So I'd love to talk to you. Love to connect, and let's give it a shot. All right. Thanks, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow.